Welcome to a special wildcard edition of Turn Up, Beardown. We got Matt Jansen again with us this week to go into the playoffs. How are you feeling about this week?
Well, um, I guess watching that Packer game last week, you kind of feel a little let down. But then again, we got another week of Bears football, and if the Nagy pace Trubisky era is going to be over, at least we kind of get a chance to set the record straight here in the playoffs and see what they can do, and we'll go from there. But I'm feeling cautiously optimistic.
I love it. It's a good adjectives, good use of words. Um, I kind of I don't know what happened. Like on Sunday, I was kind of devastated in some ways because I just can't handle losing to the Packers every single time, and you know it's coming. But then there's a little glimmer of hope. Like that third quarter, I was looking at some stats. We outgained the Packers. It was like 106 to 25. We actually scored 6 points to their zero in the third quarter, in the quarter that we never score in. And honestly, if we convert that 4th and 1 and get a touchdown there, we would have taken the lead going, or in the fourth quarter, we would have had the lead in that game. And so not getting that first down, that was everything. And it just felt like after a very long drive that had, I forgot how many plays. I want to say like 15 plays. We converted like two or three fourth downs. Mooney got hurt on that drive. It just felt like after that drive, it was over. But I guess the crazy thing is usually that we lose to the Packers in a game like that and the season's over. But for some reason, we get a little bonus football this week. So,
Yeah.
and that's really how I,
Go ahead.
yeah, that's really how I feel about this weekend and this game. It's like a bonus game. Um,
Yeah. Well, and like doesn't that drive, that we didn't come up, we came up short on 4th and 1? Isn't that
uh,
like the epitome of the season, like a slow,
yeah,
like painful, and then it ends and without any success? I mean, play call, to me, it's the play call in the red zone. They're the play
for
calling.
sure. Yeah.
We dropped 3 picks, Roquan injury that they capitalized
Hmm.
on. And on defense, man, we really got exposed in the slot. And Matt Nagy's calling plays again. So excited,
Yeah, I don't
excited
know.
about that.
Was that for sure confirmed? Because I wasn't. I had seen some people talking about it, but I wasn't aware if it was actually confirmed that he did call those plays.
I hope it wasn't. Some of the play tendencies seem to go
Yeah,
back towards something that like he was calling it, but no, I don't know for sure if he confirmed it or not.
yeah,
But or if anybody confirmed it, but man, it felt like he did. I mean,
right. Well, I always go back on that play on the 4th and 1. You got David Montgomery, and people are going to bash on Trubisky on that play, and that he threw an interception, even though the guy dropped it, and it was an interception. But he only had one guy out on that route.
it's a one
And
read play on fourth and
and
one.
if he's not open, what do you want Trubisky to do? And we know he's no like Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson, and he's limited in some ways. But at the same time, a lot of the plays that he looks bad on, there is nothing there. And so he throws interceptions sometimes because there's nothing there, and it's fourth down, or we have to score a touchdown, and he's trying. Because the interception later on in the game, people be like, "Oh, that's a terrible decision," and I would actually defend him and say it wasn't really a terrible decision. He was just trying to make something happen. We were down 28-16 with like 3:40 to go. He didn't have Mooney in the game. What do you
Yeah,
want him to do? So I don't mind
yeah,
that interception so much. It's just, again, David Montgomery. He's been rising. He's kind of become a big name in the NFL the last 5 or 6 weeks,
he's hot.
and you don't give him the ball there. You don't give him the ball there. So
Yeah. Well, and I think Bears fans probably just want to see him, Trubisky, either maybe try to scramble around. If you look at the play, you got Mooney crossing along the backside of that play. I don't know what Graham was doing on there, but it really wasn't even a rub route. It was a
mhm.
little dash pass
Yeah,
with no play action. And so I guess if I'm looking at it, I'm saying Trubisky, he's covered. There's no play. There's no chance you can throw the ball there and he's catching it. So why not look around? Why not just back up a couple steps? It's 4th and 1. I mean, it's not like it's not like you're running out of time. There was plenty of time left in the fourth. The fourth had just started at that point. Just scramble around.
yeah,
Channel your inner Russell Wilson a little bit and try to improvise a little bit. And he did. He kind of just went with script and just threw it. But I mean, I would back you where you're saying that there's been times where he's been set up to fail
for
based on the
sure.
play call, based on some of the the
Yeah,
play execution around him for
yeah,
sure.
and so let's get past that because as strange as it sounds, like,
Move past it. Let's move
look,
past it. Never again.
if we beat the Packers on that game, we're playing them this week at Lambeau. Instead, we're playing the Saints, who, I mean, they're good. They've had our number. We'll get into that in a minute. But even so, I think I would rather play the Saints than at Seattle or at Lambeau in the first round. And the big thing that I've been telling everybody this week, because of course I've been talking to people about the Bears wild card game, is it's kind of crazy. So we are 3-7 in our last 10 games, and we got to play in a playoff game. And since the Saints will only be able to have like 3,500 people or something like that, this isn't even like going into New Orleans in a difficult place to play and having to play the Saints. So even though they won 4 more games than us and a division, right now our records are both 0-0, and we could come out of here moving on and they would not get to advance. So I don't know. It's just kind of crazy things I've been thinking about
I
because
mean, our Cousins beat the Saints, don't we?
exactly, for sure. So, and wouldn't it be fitting? I even heard some commentators saying if after this game Drew Brees were to retire and Mitchell Trubisky's the one who knocks him out of the playoffs.
Oh,
Crazy.
I don't know
So
if you retire after that. Then I feel like you got to run it back if
yeah.
that happens.
Well, let's talk a little bit more. So I have a trivia question for you today. So this is the biggest thing against the Bears going forward in this game is that we have lost, what is that, 6 straight to the Saints? That's really not what you want to see. So here's my question. What year, so give me the year of the last time the Bears beat the Saints.
Oh, Bears beat the Saints. Just off the top of my head, I remember, I mean, very definitively beating them on the way to the Super Bowl. I remember Drew Brees losing to us in the snow, Robbie Gould kicking that field goal to send us to the Super Bowl in 07. I'm going to say 07. Is that the last time where we were holding the George Halas trophy?
Okay, that would have been a good guess, but actually there was a prime-time Thursday night football game featuring Kyle Orton and Drew Brees back in the 2008 season. And in that game, Kyle Orton actually took the Bears in overtime, and we won the game off a Robbie Gould field goal, I believe. But one of the most iconic plays I remember from that game, it's weird to say iconic for one game, but Daniel Manning actually returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown in that game. So, but yeah, that was
He's a
back.
good returner. I mean, if it wasn't for Hester, he'd have gotten me a little bit more buzz. But he was a nice
Yeah,
little number two. You know,
yeah. I mean, the Bears have had pretty good returners, and I don't know what we do back there, but we find a way. So, but that's kind of hard to take that
oh
it's
wait,
been 12 years since we've actually beaten the Saints. So if we factor that in, we got to be due. And then the fact that we had the double doink, I feel like we're kind of due to win a game against the Saints. So
for sure,
by
for
that
sure.
by that
Question.
logic, just move us on to play the Packers again. So
My question to you is: when is the last time we played on the road in the playoffs? What year did we? When was the last year that we played on the road in the playoffs? Whew, that's a
okay,
good one. Just for you
let
fans
me.
at home, Scott is struggling a little bit. You can't see his face, but he's looking around.
No, I'm pretty sure I know the answer because I've been reading too much Bleacher Report. I know that Dave Wannstedt was a coach. I'm pretty sure. And I want to say it was 95, and it was against the Vikings.
As far as I knew, it was 1994.
Was it 94?
94.
Wait, hold on. It was at the 94 season, and it took place in January of 95.
Yeah. So you're right. You got it then.
Yeah.
94 season took place in
I'll
95.
only take half credit for that one, but that would be the only Bears playoff game I don't have any recollection of because I was born in 93. So, yeah. Anyway, but that's kind of hard to take because the Bears have made the playoffs then in the 94 season, 01, 05, 06, and 2010 and 2018. So before this game, we've only had 6 appearances in my lifetime. So even though we backed in, as people like to say, I'm just happy to see us in the playoffs. Like either way, so it's
For
better.
sure. No,
Better
yeah,
than
we beat Vikings 35-18, and then the eventual Super Bowl champion San Francisco 49ers took it to us 44-17 or 44-15 at Old Candlestick Park there in San Francisco.
I don't think it's there anymore. I think they took it
No,
down, didn't they?
it isn't.
It's a pile of rubble. Wow. Well, hey, that's pretty good. Pretty good trivia question. So, and then of course we got a little picture here of Trubisky and Kamara
Pro Bowl.
playing some Pro Bowl with each other back in the 2018 season. It's crazy to think that was just 2 years ago. So, all right, let's get into the preview of this game. So, I did not list Mitchell Trubisky on the list here because honestly, if he can just kind of do what he did last week, but maybe make 1 or 2 more plays, that's all we really need for him. For this game, I'm really looking at the defense, and I have a player on here who I'm feeling pretty confident is not going to play for the Bears this week, and that's Roquan Smith. But we need him to play this game, and we need Khalil Mack to make probably 2 big plays in this game. So I got really excited the other night when I was previewing this, and I watched a lot of footage of the last game we played against them back on November 1st. And there was a play, gosh, I think it was in overtime, the second Saints possession, when Khalil Mack stripped the ball from Drew Brees, but Drew Brees still caught it and got sacked, or maybe it was earlier in the game. But those are plays we have to have. And then David Montgomery's just going to have to go off for us. He needs to have 125 and 2 touchdowns for us to win this game. And I've seen some crazy things in playoff games. I remember the year when Mark Sanchez and Sean Green playing with the Jets, they made a playoff push as a wild card. But yeah, for the Saints, it's got to be Drew Brees. Looks like Michael Thomas is going to play, which is terrible news for us because if Jalen Johnson can't go, that means he's going. Whoever is guarding Michael Thomas is just going to get shredded. And then, of course, Kamara. He's really what is running the Saints machine right now. And I'll give Brees credit for what he's done and how good he is, but I feel like he's more of like Peyton Manning at the end of his career, or kind of like he's not going to beat us with a bunch of deep balls. I actually looked at some stats. Most of his throws are like short little passes, but because of that, he gets the ball out really quick, so it might be hard to get to him. So what are your thoughts on just the preview of this game and these guys?
Yeah, Roquan Smith and Jalen Johnson, at least on the defensive end, those are 2 huge pieces. And again, that's part of the chess game, the X's and O's. From what I saw, it looked like Jalen was limited yesterday. I don't know if he practiced today, but
he's limited again.
What's that? He's limited again? Okay.
Yeah.
That's promising that he's at least practicing in a limited fashion. Looking at the Saints offense, they average 5.3 yards per play, which is impressive. 28 passing touchdowns and also 30 rushing touchdowns. So obviously that tells you they're a balanced offense. Sean Payton prides himself on being balanced. Drew Brees, I would say that the tandem of Taysom Hill and Drew Brees have the highest completion percentage in the NFL, just piggybacking off what you said with the quick throws, getting the ball out quick. What I've seen, however, a little bit of weakness for them, a little bit of ball security as far as the fumbles. They have 27 fumbles this year, which is second worst in the NFL. So we really haven't been intercepting the ball. We had chances last game against Green Bay. Like I said, just haven't taken advantage of it. We just really haven't been interception heavy this year. We've been fortunate with some fumbles, but hoping that trend continues. As far as the points per games, New Orleans averages about 30.1 points per game, and we're sitting at about 23.3. So you got about what is that? Is that almost an 8 point difference there that we're gonna have to make up somewhere? Just looking at now Mitch has shown some signs of improvement in his deep ball. Just look at last week. There were 3 big completions. The one to Mooney, obviously. If we block a little bit better up front, that's probably a touchdown if he can put it out in front of him a little bit more. And he's got that safety beat by a step or two. The ball to the ball also to Wims later in the game that the Wims didn't catch, but it was right. I mean, Mitch hit him right in the chest. Great ball, kind of a little bit of a just kind of over the shoulder, and then that throw to A Rob later in the drive, kind of when the game was out of reach. I just saw a little bit more accuracy from that deep ball, which
Yeah,
is encouraging.
yeah, and
Um,
I would agree. And I don't know why we don't take more of those shots, and maybe that's just not in the play, or Trubisky's
yeah,
just not trying to make that play. But I was really impressed with how efficient he was. I know it was a lot of short passes, but there was a point in that game where he was like, I don't even remember, 27 of like 31, and I was just thinking, wow,
sure,
that's
yeah,
insane. And people can dog on him for not throwing it deep, but here we are talking about Drew Brees, who probably throws the ball short more than even Trubisky does. And so,
it's the
yeah,
dink and dunk game.
yeah, and it can work until you get stopped on 4th and 1. But I still
Totally.
almost question if we should have kicked field there to make it 21-19 and kind of keep ourselves in the game a little bit longer.
Yeah, I
So,
think a lot of people would say that. Hindsight's obviously 2020. I think you already went for it on fourth down once, twice or maybe three times already. I mean, I think the identity was like let's finish this drive,
right.
and what
Yeah.
I've seen is like we're not really a good screen team offensively, whether it's to tight ends, whether it's to receivers, whether it's to the running backs. Just kind of reviewing the tape, man, we're really this game is going to come down to the trenches and how well we block, and it's not just about talent; it's about effort. And I would really like. I'm sure the Bears are going to go out and give us all they could. But just watching that Week 17 game against the Packers, man, you would have thought you're putting your life on the line as far as effort, and just didn't see that. I didn't
No.
see that on a consistent basis, and that was a little frustrating as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
To not at least get effort. The talent's there, but to at least it takes. It doesn't take any talent to display effort. And so I was a little worried about that. The other thing is the play calling. Whether it is Matt or it's Laser, you're seeing a lot of the same plays being called. And I know sometimes that happens. That's part of the game. And if something works, I understand. Go to the well. You're seeing a lot of these little dash passes. You're seeing obviously they're working off that single back, Mitch under center, little naked bootleg. I get that. But really, we're just throwing it into the flat. Mitch
Yeah.
isn't going through his progression, and he really hasn't been going. He's just hitting his first read, period. He's just looking at that first read. He's not really going through his progressions, which, at this point in his career, he should be doing.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I'm seeing a lot of stick routes. That's a Nagy staple. I'm seeing a lot of the double hitch. And I guess one thing that frustrated me, we were deep in that drive. Actually, it was after we did not get the fourth down, and we really obviously needed to score that following drive, and we line up in a wildcat formation. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean,
I was completely confused by that. It doesn't make any sense at all. So, well, yeah. Hey, let's get talking about some keys to the game for both teams. So, from what I was just thinking about this game, for one, we got to find a way to stop the run and prevent Kamara from beating us. He did last time, and the thing is though, he beat you not just running. He beat you with these short little passes that he catches and runs for 30, 40 yards, and that's kind of what happened last time. But if we can stop the run, if we can slow down Kamara and just hang around, that's really the key to an upset, is just kind of hanging around and staying in the game and not letting it just explode and go crazy. And it felt like last week against the Packers for a second there, it felt like that game was over at 21-10, and then Rodgers hit MVS for what should have been another touchdown, and it was going to be 28-10, and really over without, honestly, as crazy as it is, it would have been over, and I don't think the Bears would have even have punted at that point in the game, because we took the first drive, first touchdown. I guess we punted on our second drive, but then we got the fumble. Should have got touchdown off that. And then Cole
right?
Kmet was just fighting really hard, but that led to an unfortunate fumble.
Sure, sure. And we could agree to disagree. To say if he's down or if it's a fumble. I mean, either way,
Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever it was called was probably going to stay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another nice stat for us is our defense this year has not allowed not one single receiving touchdown by a running back this season.
That's
And
amazing.
Kamara does a lot of damage in the passing game, and they also have Latavius Murray as well, which we remember his time with Minnesota as well. There's a lot that goes into it. I'm excited. Our defense. I'm excited for the fact that we just get to play another game and get to compete.
For sure. Yeah,
I get to watch another week of Bears football, but I'm a little weary that these injuries and Sean Payton coaches circles around our coaching staff.
Every time. And I think that I have on here capitalize. We got to get a turnover, or when we have our opportunity, if it's like a pass interference, if we get some big plays, we got to get touchdowns this week. We can't settle for field goals. But that being said, like, I will take a field goal if it's if we have the opportunity. But I want to see some turnovers. I want to see us. It might take a defensive score to win this game. If we get a defensive score and like Montgomery comes out and runs for 120 yards, maybe breaks a couple, then I don't know. That those would be the ways that an upset like this could happen. That being said, though, last time we played the Saints, it was a close game, and not just a close game. It went in overtime, but before that, it was 10-3 Bears, and then we had a chance to get a touchdown there, and Nick Foles couldn't get an end zone, but it could have been 17-3 at half, and then we gave up that horrible drive right before halftime. That was absolutely horrible, and watching it again on the replay, it was even worse than it was live. But for the Saints, I really feel like if they can just not give up anything easy, if they can just continue to feed Kamara and he runs all over us or catches the ball here and there, and they don't give up any turnovers, it's going to be really hard for us to beat them, especially with some key defenders most likely going to be out.
Yeah, and I gotta give the coaching staff a little credit, because you know what, I like the game plan going in. You want to control the line of scrimmage, you want to control the ball, you want to control the time of possession, and just giving you another stat from that Packers game. We had the ball. We ran 30 more plays than the Packers, had 40 more yards, and had the ball for 11 more minutes, and we still lost by 3 scores. So I mean, that's a good game plan. I mean, you want to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field, and obviously, but you just have to. In doing that, you have to score touchdowns when you get down in the red zone, and that's going to lead into my keys is red zone play calling and execution this week. Mitch has got to get off of his first read quicker in order to get to that second and third progression, a little bit quicker. Because again, we don't have a great line in pass protection. Leno is not good. He gets beat quite frequently. And again, you got a guard playing tackle in Fetty. So, and on defense, third down is the most important down for us. Watch our edge rushers, Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn, versus their tackles, because they have some of the best tackles in the league. I think they've always had one of the better lines. Sean Payton, does a good job, and their GM does a good job of drafting and developing offensive linemen. And I think right now that might be the best tandem of tackles in the league. So just kind of watching those one-on-ones develop is going to be a key point for me.
Yeah, and did we get to Breeze once last game? I can't remember. I feel like we didn't.
The fumble, right?
Well, I guess that's true, but
not really other than that.
Well, and there were a couple plays I was watching where he somehow got the ball out, and it was like a duck. He just threw it up in the air, and we didn't attack our corners. Nobody attacked it, and so they caught it and ran for 15 yards. Those are the plays that just make me age very quickly. So.
Sean Payton's the next Bear. Can he just give us this real quick?
Yeah.
Can he just give it the game? His job's safe. Come on, man. Come on, Sean. If you're listening, because I know we're pretty popular. Sean, if you're listening out there, man, come on now. We need this more than you guys do. You guys already got a ring in your tenure.
That's true, but they definitely have been hurting the last 3 years, sure. Just with what's happened in the playoffs to them. All right, we ready for a prediction?
I sure hope so. Yeah.
Here we go. So, I got the Saints 27-20, but that's what I would predict would happen. But I still feel like we have a really good chance to win this game. Obviously, I'm going to be rooting for the Bears. Maybe that reverse psychology, because again, last week I picked the Bears to beat the Packers, and I shouldn't even watch the game after I made that pick. But I do feel like we can win this game. I really do. I'm excited. It's a playoff game. Usually playoff games have just a weird vibe to them. It feels very different because there's such a sense of urgency. And it could come down to us getting a turnover or a big run by Montgomery, or let's just say that Trubisky really goes out there and plays an incredible game, and who knows what
Yeah,
could happen. That'd be
yeah.
exciting. It'll be exciting either way. Obviously, I guess if we get destroyed, it probably will start to fade pretty quickly, but
Positive thoughts, positive thoughts.
for
And you know what?
sure.
Honestly, if Mooney can't play, then it's going to come down to what Anthony Miller can do for us, and also Roquan Smith on the other side. It's going to come down to Danny Trevathan, and also an inexperienced. What's his first name? Is it Al Woods or is it what's his first name? What's Woods' first name? 55. I should know
Uh,
this. I'm sorry, Bears fans. I should know this, but it's going to. Oh, it's Josh Woods, isn't it? It's
Josh
Josh Woods.
Woods. He
So
did not
Josh
look
Woods,
very good
I mean,
last
next
week.
man up theory. Yeah, next man up theory, and also just I think it's unfair, kind of unfair for us to be too hard on Woods because again, he's not playing a lot because you got two, fairly decent starters ahead of you. You get put in a position against one of the better, chess piece movers in Aaron Rodgers, and there was some coverage breakdowns last week, and I think that led to
Mm-hmm.
obviously led to that score late in the fourth, kind of put the game away. But next man up, like I said, on offense and on defense, and my prediction is going to be 31-24.
Bears.
Saints. No, Saints. Like I said, of course we want the Bears to win, but I just with the injuries and just the way that not only, I mean, our offense is actually playing better.
Yeah,
I'm going to give
yeah.
them credit for the way they played against Green Bay and kind of had Green Bay fans, I'm going to say, scared for a half.
Oh yeah. I
Uh,
mean,
you know,
once again, here's maybe the thing that we should be talking more about. The Bears offense and just the Bears in general in the third quarter this year were absolutely horrible. Like I've never seen it that bad. Every week they pulled up stats like here's the Bears in the third quarter and it was no scores, getting outscored. Like we didn't score in the third quarter and then against Jacksonville I think we scored 3 touchdowns, which was awesome. But it was also the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then we played the Packers, who people are saying, hey, this is the NFC team to beat, and they still are. But we outplayed them in the third quarter. So that's kind of awesome to think about. And I guess if I would go back, my brother in law was watching the game with me, and he was like, this is kind of what you want, actually. You want to lose this game because you don't have to play the Packers next week and then in the first round. And now that I think about it, it's right. I'd rather play the Saints and the Packers or the Seahawks, and then if we win this game, we would go and we would play the Packers in the next round. And how fun could that be if we knock them out?
sure. And let's not pretend that last week's game, Week 17, didn't have all the makings of a playoff atmosphere. So you can almost say, the Bears kind of had, let's say, kind of a little bit of a warm up of what the playoffs are going to be like, playoff intensity, a playoff opponent. So it's not like we're on a bye or coming off, playing the Jaguars, going straight into the playoffs. At least we got a taste of, playoff level talent, coaching, and scheme. And you hope that kind of helps prepare us and kind of clean some things up for us versus us just rolling in and killing the Jaguars. Well, I don't know how much we're going to learn from that tape versus getting beat, pretty, handedly in the second half and kind of having a look in the mirror, kind of gut check. So you're right. We got a chance, of course we do. But it's just tough. It's going to be tough with those injuries to overcome. And I just
Mm-hmm.
think, a couple of my other little individual predictions, I think not Alvin Kamara. I think Latavius Murray gets 2 rushing touchdowns. I think Taysom Hill gets a touchdown. And I think Trubisky statistically has a better day than Drew Brees. Those are my
Wow,
3 individual breakdowns. So,
that's bold talk.
whoa,
Um,
whoa.
no, here's I got a couple predictions too. I think that Montgomery's going to rush for 100 yards in this game.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 100 yards and maybe 1 touchdown. He should be able to get 1 touchdown at least, because even if this game gets bad and the Saints go into prevent, he still should be able to get a touchdown. Um, I'm gonna say Roquan Smith doesn't play. Kamara does play. I think that if Roquan Smith is gonna play, then Nagy would have already said he just had a little a minor injury. He'll be back. I'm gonna say Jalen Johnson's gonna get an interception of Drew Brees in this game. Coming off of limited practice, he's gonna. But even if he gets an interception, he's probably still gonna get toasted for like 100 from Michael Thomas. So
Yeah,
the
that'll be interesting to see because
yeah
again, remember Michael. Kyle Fuller is not going to shadow him.
yeah
Like a Jalen Ramsey, like a your typical physical corner. It's going to be Kyle likes to play on that on your left side. He sticks to one side or the right. Just kind of on one side. Jalen Johnson's more of a physical corner, press corner. So
yeah. The other thing about Jalen Johnson and I know he got roasted in a couple games this year, but what I started noticing because we've talked about the the Fuller thing, we've talked about it a few times, is that Jalen Johnson usually ends up guarding the best receiver somehow,
yeah, yeah.
week in, week out.
Who's got who in the slot though? That's what it's going to come down to. And you know what? If you think of the residual effect, if Johnson plays, well, that means that you can either pick your poison with Vildor or with Shelley. And just kind of see what's the better matchup there. Let's say if Shelley's not cutting it, and maybe you plug Vildor in. You know what I'm saying? They're both they both project as slot corners, smaller corners, 5'9", whatever. But I don't know. I just feel like that if Johnson plays, it residually helps out our defense. And I don't even know what's the status on Buster Screen.
I think he's had a concussion for. They said he's had a concussion for a long time, and what I've been hearing is he didn't practice again today. So he hasn't practiced since like week 12, so I don't see him playing.
Wow. Week 12? It was week 12?
That's what I've heard. I've been doing some research about it. He hasn't played for a long time. It's been concussion related, and I don't know. But if no, I think the biggest thing is if Roquan Smith doesn't play, and he had an All-Pro year. Like, he didn't get voted for the Pro Bowl. I don't know how. But he had an All-Pro year. And to not have him in this game, that's a big loss.
For sure.
And our defense
It is.
Our defense has really been making me frustrated since really after the bye week. They've kind of just let everybody move the ball on them.
Yeah, he didn't practice again today.
Yeah.
Didn't practice. Got a lot of people that are on the full participation or limited, so
yeah.
Looks like yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, if this is the last one, though, I just want to say appreciate you having me on. This has been a lot of fun to do, and looking forward into what year 2 of this next year is going to bring us. If we can't, if we're not doing another episode next week, and
for sure,
we appreciate you, man, and I know we'll be talking back and forth. So
yeah, hey, it'll be fun either way. And here's one last little tidbit I was thinking about. Okay, so of all the games that have been played, there will be 4 playoff games before the Bears game on Sunday. That means 4 teams will not be in the playoffs anymore, and the Bears will still be around. So we're going to be one of the final 10 teams in the playoffs on a season where we had a 6-game losing streak. So.
Also, real quickly, Deshaun Watson to the Bears.
I saw that. Yeah, I don't know.
Deshaun Watson to the Bears. I don't want to get off topic here. I know you got to coach some basketball here in a second, but I saw that, and then just naturally I got a little bit giddy. But I know we don't really have the draft capital like some of these other teams, like the Jets or
no more trades. We just need to not.
Even for him though, he's proven. Even for him,
I don't know who's he going to throw to for the Bears. That's going to cost at least a 1. We need to. I really think we need to start looking at receiver again.
For sure.
Mooney's got it. Are we going to re-sign A-Rob? I don't know, but there's got to be some other options. These guys don't create separation, which makes our quarterbacks look even worse. I was just thinking about the Chiefs, and when you watch the Chiefs, Mahomes is great, but his receivers are always open in space. I don't know if that's play design, but I also know that a lot of those guys are Pro Bowl level receivers and tight ends and everything. So
speed and scheme.
Yep.
Speed and scheme.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this NFC wildcard, super wildcard weekend is what they're calling it. That'll do it for us this week. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember to bear down, you Bears fans. We'll see you next week.
Bear down. Arr!